All right, hey team, this week we're going to talk about switching shoulders, when to do it in combat. But before I get into it, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. You know, I can't get you guys this great content for free without their support. This week I want to thank SDI. SDI is a major supporter. We appreciate them so much. So check out all their online courses. You can take firearms technology and learn how to get into gunsmithing and other areas of the firearm industry. So check them out at SDI.edu for more information. SDI, we really appreciate you. All right, so you know we like to cover a lot of combat shooting drills, not just shooting drills. You know, there's all the drills that the pew-pew guys do and everything. I got that, all of our competition shooters, okay? This week, I want to talk about switching shoulders. I want to talk about how to do it. I want to talk about when to do it. All right, so let's say when, for example, because there's a lot of guys on the internet, the guys that do a lot of the airsoft, and I'm not bashing on milsim guys, not at all, but understand that them, or whether it's a SWAT team going into the shoot house, they're practicing switching shoulders so that they're literally can pie that corner better. That makes sense when all you're doing is fighting paper targets. I got that, but the reality is when you go through a doorway, 99% of the people you're gonna come across, 99% of the ones we've done, and I've done hundreds of combat ops before I retired, my past unit, right, special mission unit, you do these raids, you're going into someone else's house. It's not like a shoot house where all the paper targets are threats. 99% of the people you're gonna come across, whether they're not a threat or a threat, even if they're a threat, they're not necessarily, 99% of the time, are not targets that warrant deadly force. So switching shoulders, okay, yeah, you may be awesome shooting like that because you're practicing it, but for someone that doesn't warrant deadly force, how do you deal with them? Non-combatants, right? No, they're combatant, they just don't warrant deadly force. So now you're having to use your hand-to-hand skills, your fighting skills. Now, whether you do Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, military hand-to-hand systems, whatever it is, you're taught moves to strike with the rifle, whether you're muzzle thumping, other strikes with the gun. Saying that you're gonna do that just as well with your hands switched is the same as you saying, well, I'm gonna do this next Taekwondo match or this next judo match left-handed instead of right-handed. You see what I'm getting at? You don't practice shooting enough. You might do combatives enough, but chances are if you're a guy that does both, you do both of them strong hand enough. Nobody does them strong hand and weak hand enough. So in other words, when you're going through doorways, me being right-handed, right, coming up on this open doorway, we practice the same normal techniques, whether you're stepping center, whether you're pieing the doorway, whatever it is. I understand we want to expose as little of the body as possible. So there are guys that as they come to the door, they will literally switch shoulders, and what that does is it allows them to tuck that elbow in and they'll break that doorway as they're going into the room. That's great, I got that. The problem though is you step into that fatal funnel and now you've got somebody there that doesn't warrant deadly force, but they're still combatant, and now you've got your hand switched with your weapon. Very seldom do you practice muzzle strikes with your support hands. We just don't practice it that much. So most of your strikes with a weapon are done strong hand. So you're in and through that fatal funnel so fast, get out of the fatal funnel, then you're in the room, and now you're back to actually breaking it, doing it strong hand. All right, so for those guys saying doorways, I'm gonna say no, I'm not. Unless you practice martial arts equally, strong hand and weak hand, I just wouldn't do it. Now, what about corners, all right? Yes, you will switch corners sometimes. All right, now what do I mean by that? We'll take this wall right here. Let's say that this is a wall of a building, all right? This is a wall of a building. This right here is the corner. When I come up to this, if it's just a quick look, if I'm immediately going down that, right, I might switch shoulders just as I get that initial look, or I might just flow around that corner and keep moving. What it's gonna come down to is this a high threat corner or a low threat corner? Because if you're doing urban movement across the modern battlefield and you're going by dozens and dozens of alleyways, dozens and dozens of doorways, you're not gonna keep switching shoulders to do that. You're smooth, you're flowing. Now, so in other words, a low threat corner, I wouldn't necessarily switch shoulders. However, if I approach this corner and there's tracers coming by, this is now a high threat corner, and I don't want to have my whole body exposed before I get my optic out. So the way to do that is literally switch shoulders. What that allows me to do by switching shoulders, now elbow in, by the time I'm out, and I can clear that wall right now, the majority of my body is still hidden behind my cover, all right? Now, sometimes you'll switch, sometimes you won't. Again, it comes down to, is this a low threat or a high threat corner that I'm breaking? All right, so let's establish that it is a high threat corner, all right? High threat corner, so I need to switch shoulders. How do I do that? First is on the approach. I'm coming up to this corner as I'm approaching, and you can do this at a dead run. As I approach, I want to figure out where I perceive, I'm going to make that educated guess of where I think the threat is. I'm going to make an educated guess of where my limit of my cover is. So basically straight down the wall, I make that imaginary line down the edge of the wall there. As I'm approaching the wall, if you run a tight sling as you're approaching, you've already made that decision, you're going to switch shoulders, just bring that arm through that sling. That's going to give you that much more slack for switching shoulders. Make sense? It does make sense, right? As I approach, I'm going to plant that kickstand. That's going to be that foot that's on that side, and I'm going to plant that foot right on the edge of that wall facing in. In other words, my foot's not facing out here. My foot is right there. My toes are pointing right at the inside of my cover, right? But as I'm coming in, while my foot's getting ready to do that, you have what's called a rapid short term, basically a quick look, and then you have a long term. Right? So for a short term, just a quick look, I don't even have to switch hands. All I'm going to do is literally push the gun out, and I'm going to push it over to my other. Now I'm having to switch eyes. Instead of using my dominant eye, I'm going to use my non-dominant eye. But guys, I can shoot like this. I can shoot like that. I break the corner, I'm done. I can easily switch back, and now I'm back moving again. I didn't have to mess with nothing on my kit. I didn't have to switch hands, nothing. And if I had to fight, I could easily get back to where I needed to. So looking around the wall here, literally, as I come up, I've already ran my arm through my sling. I'm gonna switch shoulders. I'm gonna plant that kickstand. And as I get out there, if I see that threat, I can hit it. I'm out. Now we're moving back on safe. I could switch shoulders back again, and we're flowing down the hallway. When I came in, I literally, all I did was switch shoulders real quick so that I brought it up, instead of bringing it up under my dominant eye, bring it up under my non-dominant eye, all right? I mount the optic. I'm good. I shoot. As soon as I'm done, I bring it back over to my strong shoulder again. That's what we call the rapid short-term shoulder switch, or what we call a quick look. Now, then there's the long term. Let's say we're doing priorities of work here in that building, hallway, whatever, and I need to lock down this hallway. I need to lock down the corner of this building, this alleyway, whatever it is. I need to lock this down long term. All right? If I'm going to be there for a while, to switch shoulders, all you're going to do is literally take your strong hand, release your strong hand, you're going to grab the front of the receiver, release that support hand, you're going to move it over to your support shoulder. Support hand comes back, grabs the pistol grip, strong hand comes out, holds the front of the gun again. That's it, same thing, all right? So one more time, I'm approaching, I'm going to sit here long term, all right? So as I'm approaching, I've already made that decision, I'm going to have to sit here a while. I bring my arm through, I've got the gun out, so strong hand grabs, rolls forward, I switch my hands and plant my foot. Now, if I'm pieing around, and it could be anything. This might be a wall that I'm gonna lock into where I might have to stay here a while, but this could be like a long clockwise turn. For example, going around the edge of like a big oil tank or a big water tank. I don't want to expose my body as I'm going around it. So by switching shoulders, it allows me to keep my body behind it. Right? Lots of other ways to do this. I'm going to get into some great drills, but before I do that, I'm going to let YouTube slap you right in the face with one of their advertisements. I'll see you back in a minute. Long term, but what about if I'm really going to stay here a while? I'm going to stay here a while. Literally all I'm going to do is, again, I'm on my strong side. I need to switch shoulders. I release my strong hand. I grab the front of receiver, gun out, move it over to my support shoulder, right up underneath my dominant eye. Support hand releases, grabs fire control back here on the pistol grip. Strong hand then grabs the front of the gun where I can run that flashlight. I'm good to go. Now here's the change if I'm gonna stay here a while. As I come up to lock in on this wall, I plant my foot, my kickstand stays the same, but my strong hand up front, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reverse my grip and make what we call a C grip. And what this is gonna allow me to do is literally, I can dig into the wall and I can lean into it. So if I need to stay here, not only am I more stable for some really accurate shots at long distance, think all the way down a long alleyway, but even if this is a hallway, if I had to stay here and watch this hallway for a while, I literally, my body's leaning into the gun. I've got my gun locked into the wall. I can relax. I'm good to go. I can stay here. And as soon as that target shows up, hey, there he is right there. I can mix metal and meat together. I can stay here as long as necessary without fatiguing my body. The isometrics of even holding up a lightweight carbine like this for a long period of time, it wears you out. If you've got the time, you've got the environment for it, dig into barricades, all right? But switching shoulders, easy to do. Coming back over, when I'm done, literally you're switching it the same way you were before. Hand off the pistol grip, grab the front of the receiver, push the gun across, and now I'm back ready to move again. Nice and easy stuff, right? Nice and easy. Tac mag reload. All right, so drills. How do we practice this? Guys, dry firing. The only thing you can't do dry firing is recoil management, right? Literally. You can do all this stuff dry firing. Sitting at home, a commercial comes up on the TV, get up and do some rifle switching shoulders drills, nice and easy. And I want you to practice, again, I want you to practice the quick look technique. I also want you to practice the long-term completely switching shoulders, all right? So make sure you do that. All right, so one of my favorite drills to do for practice and switching shoulders is called rifle switching shoulders El Presidente. It's just like the old 70s El Presidente drill with three targets, where you do 6 rounds, reload 6 rounds, except now we're gonna do it rifle. You're gonna start with 12 rounds in the gun. You can do it with a full mag, doesn't matter. When you turn, you're gonna put 2 rounds on each target, then you're gonna switch shoulders, and then 2 rounds on each target again. Practice going in both directions, you can do it. Other ways to do it are, just like we're doing here with this brick wall, you can do it with wooden walls on the range. Literally, practice, instead of just treating it as a firing port, instead of just treating it as the edge of a piece of plywood, treat it as though that's the edge of legitimate cover, and you want to keep your body behind it. So practice shooting around those barricades, both unsupported and also supported. Practice doing all of that on barricades, but make sure you practice both techniques. The quick look, very, very quick. Again, all I'm doing is I'm literally, instead of being mounted on the gun, I'm gonna just move it around to my other shoulder up underneath my non-dominant eye. That's for a quick look. And then the long-term technique, if I think I'm gonna switch shoulders for a little while, strong hand grabs front of receiver, bring it up underneath your dominant eye, ding it in, bring it in, take that support hand, grab fire controls, and then release that hand, bring it back up, and I can properly grip the gun where I can run my flashlight and all the rest of my G-money stuff I have on my blaster. So anyways, guys, I hope you got something out of this. A lot of the stuff you see guys swapping all the time, and I'm not bashing them because they literally don't know. because they've never been overseas. But the reality is 99% of the people you're going to come across inside an apartment building overseas or here or there are going to be guys that, yes, they are threats, but guys, they're just not threats that warrant deadly force. You need to be able to fight with this gun, and that does not always involve rotating that selector lever to fire. You need to be able to do the muzzle strikes. You need to be able to do all those other strikes with the gun. Practice it, yes, but practice it strong hand. There are times to switch shoulders, just not every open doorway. It's just not, right? Go with what you know, master key skills, get good at them, but there are times to be surgical, and minute little details like switching shoulders is going to keep you behind that cover, and that right there is the #1 reason why you should be switching shoulders, to keep your body behind hard cover. All right, it's not about just being pew-pew. It's about knowing why and when to properly do this. All right, that's all we got this week. You know the deal. Leave the comments underneath. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care and shoot straight. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.